Good evening, my dear Toastmasters and dear guests. Around 2 months back, I decided to change my job. Currently, I'm working as a data analyst, and I was very keen to explore other opportunities. So I started to apply for the jobs matching my skill set. And during this time, I gave around 12 interviews, which really helped me to know about a lot of things that worked for me. And at the same time, there were a lot of things that didn't work out so well. Today, I would like to share with you the things that worked based on my experience. Whether you are currently looking for your next gig or you have a job and you are open to new opportunities, this session will help you to fast track the process of landing more job interviews and thus will help you to beat the blues of the job search. After this presentation, there will be time for a question and answer session. I will be really happy to answer any questions which you would like to ask. With that, let's cut to the chase. The first step of job search is to update your resume. I still remember that it took me around 8 hours to tailor my resume based on my skill set. Your resume should be concise, relevant to the job which you are seeking, and should focus on your accomplishments and the impact which you made during your job. Remember that a resume is a document that clearly shows why you are the perfect candidate for the job you are seeking. Concentrate on highlighting the most relevant education, training, and experience from the past 7 to 10 years. Beyond that, your experiences are simply background information and possibly irrelevant. It is vital that your resume contains specific and relevant keywords related to the skills and experiences the employer is seeking. You should also make it a point to fix the typos, spelling, or any grammatical errors. Especially be careful about the company and software names, which are frequently misspelled, and it can damage your credibility. Now, it's a no-brainer that the fastest and the most effective way to land job interviews is through employee referrals. While they don't guarantee you a job, they can increase the odds that your application will be seen by a recruiter or hiring manager and ultimately gives you a boost in the hiring process. The best way to leverage employee referrals is through networking on LinkedIn. According to the job-wide Recruiter Nation survey, 87% of recruiters use LinkedIn as part of their candidate search. Here are 3 tips to maximize the potential of your LinkedIn profile. First, keep your profile up to date. If you want recruiters to notice you, make sure to regularly update your profile, add a profile photo, and include your notable skills. Second, be comprehensive about current skills and objectives. To ensure that you are using LinkedIn to find a job correctly, don't leave anything out about your current skills. Use your headline to share your main objective, if it makes sense, and add all of your skills to your LinkedIn profile. Third, highlight recent experience. You want your recent experience evident to anyone who views your page, especially when you are actively engaging with connections and companies to land a job. Once you are done with updating your LinkedIn profile, the next step is how we can leverage LinkedIn to land more job interviews. Now, here are a few steps which you can follow. First, build your network to the first degree. For example, if I'm looking for opportunities as a data analyst, then my first degree connections mostly should be the fellow data analyst or data scientist or data engineers and so on. Second, search for the jobs on LinkedIn based on the title or the skill set. For example, I will type data analyst in the search bar with Bangalore as my location. So I will get several companies who are currently hiring a data analyst or anyone having the same skill set. Once I go through the job description, then my next step will be to search people who are working in that particular organization with the similar designation, and I will send them a connection request along with a small note. Now the question is, what should you write in that note? That you need a job at their company and that they should accept your connection request? Probably no, because it will sound really weird. While it's very easy to send the connection request without customizing it, adding a note will increase the likelihood of your request being accepted. Notes added to connection request have a 300 character limit. So keep your message brief and to the point. Now, here are a few steps which you can follow in order to draft your connection request note. First, always start with a quick 1-line or 2-line introduction about who you are and what you do. Second, it's worthwhile to mention how you came across their profile. Maybe you met them at a networking event or you found them on LinkedIn. This is a really good way to start the conversation. Third, look at their LinkedIn profile to see if there are any shared interests, groups, academic institutions, mutual connections, or employers, and use that as an icebreaker in your connection message. You can probably also check their social channels or LinkedIn posts to learn more about them. Establish a warm connection by liking, retweeting, sharing, or commenting on their post. Number 4, whether you are seeking a professional advice, wanting to learn more about their work, or discover employment opportunities at their company, outlining your intentions in the connection request will help set your expectations. Now, here are a few templates that you can use to start connecting and building your network on LinkedIn. The first template is for someone with whom you probably met at a networking event, probably in Toastmasters or in any office conference. The second template is when you're looking out for a job and you want to send a connection request to a certain recruiter who is working in your desired organization. So you can take help from these templates to design your connection request note. Once they accept your connection request, you can send them a brief thank you note, and then you can ask them if they can refer you for your desired position at their organization, followed by a link to the job description. Also, let me give you a reality check here. There will be times when people won't reply, when they won't accept your connection request, when they will refuse on your face to refer you. And during those times, rather than feeling bad and discouraged, just tweak your way a bit. Draft a new connection request note and send it to a new person from the same organization. And you just have to repeat this process till you get that referral. If I can give you a mantra to quickly land more interviews, that would be apply, apply, and apply. One reason for this is that applying to jobs, interviewing, and the entire process of landing a job is a learnable skill set that takes practice. The more jobs you apply to, the faster you will learn what works and what does not. Create a simple spreadsheet and keep track of what jobs you apply to, what resume you sent, who the contact is, when you applied, and any other relevant details. This way, when you do get a positive response, like an interview or a follow-up, you can track it back to what job and what kind of resume you actually sent them. then you can use that combination for the next batch of your applications. In conclusion, I would like to give you a bonus tip. Don't get discouraged. I know this is easier said than done, but try not to get discouraged. If you are not landing one right off the bat, it doesn't mean all hope is lost. Keep plugging away and try different things. You will get better and learn what works. And talking about myself, I'm very thrilled to announce that I have received the offer letter for my desired role from a very awesome organization just a week back. So I guess the tips that I told you just now worked really well for me, and I'm pretty much hopeful that they will work for you too. Thank you for listening to me patiently and being such a wonderful audience. Now is the time that you can ask your questions if you have any. I will be really happy to answer your questions.
Toastmaster Kavita, I have a question.
Yeah, hi, Toastmaster Govind. Yes, go ahead, please.
Could you please share the statistics on how many replies you got when you applied without a referral versus when you applied with a referral?
Yeah, thank you, Toastmaster Govind. So to answer your question, I started applying for jobs through the company websites initially. So I applied around in 10 companies, and till today, I haven't got any response from their side. So that made me realize that, yes, indeed, referrals is a good way to go ahead. So why not try it? And then I started applying through referrals. And you won't believe that out of 12 interviews which I have given, 11 interviews I have got through referrals in a span of 2 months. I hope that answered your question.
Toastmaster Kavita, actually you mentioned at the start that in a resume, to keep the resume concise, you not to mention the details, work experience details more than 10 years back, right? So
Yes.
don't you think that would be misconstrued as hiding information?
No, thank you, Toastmaster Praneeth. So to answer your question, I don't think that we are hiding something. It's just that when you have a lot of experience, and especially when you are working in different companies, so it may happen that you just want to show the relevant experience. So if I'm applying for a data analyst position, I will only reflect and I will work on my accomplishments from my current organization, what kind of work I'm doing there right now when I was a data analyst. So that is the point of telling you that you might not be that much keen on reflecting your experience, which is like beyond 10 years. You can mention it, of course, because you want to show that from this date to this date, I worked in this particular organization, but don't give too much space for those experience in your resume. That will really help you to make your resume concise.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you,
Kavita, I have a
Toastmaster
question.
Praneeth. Yes, go ahead, Narendra.
So, like we generally, whenever we discuss about resume, right, there's a discussion of like, is it a one pager or a two page, right?
Yes,
What is
yes.
your recommendation, or like, what does the research say will be a good one?
Okay. So yeah, thanks for that question, because that is a very sought after question, I would say. Because once I started researching about resume, everywhere I just see that your resume should be in one page. It should be in one page. But how should I fit it into one page? That was my question. And that made me reflect on how can I fit my experience in that one page. Now there is a catch. If I'm having more number of years of experience, and probably I have switched my companies, so I would probably have a lot of data to share, and I want to put that everything into my resume. But the problem with fitting your everything into a single page is that it looks very cluttered. In my opinion, I really like the resumes which have a certain space so that the person who is going through your resume can get some space to breathe. He can just see what you have done. If you are just focused on putting everything in that one page, then it makes the job difficult. And personally, I have 2 pages of resume because I like things to be very clear and I don't want to make them all cluttery. So yeah, so it's basically a personal choice. If you want to go ahead and you want to fit everything into one page, maybe you can do it. Maybe you can make that crisp. But for me, in my opinion, I would like to go with a clear, more space, so that it's cool to watch or to go through my resume. I hope that answered your question.
On that similar lines, any idea how it impacts to HR? Like, the other company, like this is our perspective, right? As a candidate, it feels good. But from a company's perspective, what do you think?
So I've got various feedbacks from people. So when I joined my last organization, my manager on the very first day told me that, Kavita, I really liked your resume. And then my question was, but it was 2 pages. Generally, people say everything should be in one page. So then he went ahead and he said that, Kavita, I really value the resumes whom I can actually read properly and I can get some space to go through what you have done. And that really matters to me. Basically, it depends on person to person. But yeah, this was the kind of feedback which I got from my manager. So I went ahead and I really liked it.
Thank you.
Kavita, one question I have.
Yes, Vijay.
Yeah. Is it a good practice to keep the current manager in the LinkedIn connection request, or until we, and on a lighter note, I'm just asking, is it a good practice or not?
Yes, thank you, Toastmaster Vijay. That is quite a question, I would say. Okay, so to answer your question, I am having my manager as my LinkedIn connection. And it depends on how your rapport is with your manager. If your manager is scolding you every day for not meeting the deadlines, then it's probably not a good idea to send him a connection request and to like maintain a distance. But if you can have a good camaraderie, it always helps. He can give you recommendation for your work. Once you move out from that organization, he can really help you to recommend to others. And yeah, so basically it depends on your rapport and your camaraderie. But I would strongly suggest that if you don't have one, please don't make this mistake of sending connection requests to them, because once they accept, and let's say you posted anything like a LinkedIn joke on manager, then you can see what happens. So then I think it's not a good idea because it can backfire. I hope that answered your question.
Kavita, I have one question. So, have you ever been in a situation where you have to negotiate? So, and even if you have to negotiate, like, how do you go about negotiating? Like, about your salary or whatever position that you have to take?
Okay. Thank you, Toastmaster Prithvi. It's
Yeah.
a difficult question to answer because it's like spilling the beans, revealing the secrets.
No,
Okay,
I'm not asking about the numbers, but then how do
Yeah.
you handle the situation?
Yeah, I got your question. Okay, so to answer that, it basically depends on the amount of work which you have done and how much work you have done. To start with, first you should have a target. This is my personal opinion. I can be wrong, but this is my personal opinion that you should have a kind of value in your mind that this much I want to get. And the room for negotiation begins when you defined your minimum value. Like you can't go beyond, you can't go below this. So if you said that, that gives you a lot of space to think about. I have got several interview calls, not just 12. I've got around 20 interview calls, and 5 of them I have rejected, or I can say that HR didn't happen to follow through because I said that I can't go below this point. And I have heard these kind of comments. Kavita, don't you think that you are asking too much? So I replied, yes, I know I can be asking too much, but I know that based on my skills and experience, I can bring that to the table. So you need to find that particular value, like below which you won't go. So I had that value every time in my mind.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I know you have a lot of questions regarding this, so we can connect anytime. I will be very happy to answer your questions to your messages based on what kind of experience I had. Thank you so much. I hope these insights will help you in your job search. Thank you, and over to Ghostmaster Govind.